Well, our house has been turned upside down this last week. We decided a few weeks ago that our old sofa was old and had it. And so we arranged for the British Heart Foundation to come and take our old sofa away. The theory being that the next day the new sofa would arrive. It did! Ta-da! So we are seated. But anyway, we were clearing a lot of stuff because we had to move bookshelves, we had to move tables and all sorts of things. And in an old cupboard, why was I looking in an old cupboard, you might ask, I came across this. Now, that was really strange because I haven't come across this in a long time. This is my rucksack, which I've had for at least 40 years. So I thought, how strange that I should encounter my rucksack today. And I thought, well, I wonder if I've left anything in it that might have gone mouldy or anything like that, old sandwiches or the such like. So I opened it and thought, I'll have a look. And I actually was really surprised by what was in it. So I'll need some help with this. So Hazel, could you come hold something for me, please? What should we have first? So the first thing... She's worried now. Okay, so the first thing that I came across was an old trowel. Well, that would have been useful for digging the ground for putting tent pegs in when I was camping, I thought, but I can't even think of any other reason why this strange old trowel should be there. So can we ask you to hold that? Now, one of the other things I came across, Odette, can we borrow you? Please note the relieved laughter from over here, that it's not there. That's right. So the other thing I came across was an old white cloth. Now I remember as a child, come here, thank you, using this to pretend to be a ghost. So could we just put that over the top of your head? And can you just go woo woo? That's not very scary.
I'm not a scary person.
She says she's not a scary person. Okay, right, well, we'll leave that for a minute. So there was this trowel, and then there was this sort of old ghost costume, woo woo. Okay. And what else did I find? Oh, yeah, I found this old fish mask. And I was wondering, who goes fishing here? Yeah, it's an old fish mask, two goldfishes on it. So can I just hold that in front of you? Would it go behind your glasses? No.
We'll do it this way.
Actually, we could just do it like that, could we?
I'll hold them on.
Yeah?
I can see what I'm doing.
Now, we've only had fish a couple of times in our lives, not very successfully, but so I couldn't quite work out why, in my rucksack, I should find this strange fish mask, this strange trowel, this strange ghost costume, woo-woo, thank you, and this strange fish mask. So, what else did I find? Oh, okay. You know I said something about stuff being mouldy. Bit of toast. Do you think we could ask somebody to taste the toast?
Yeah, Jacqueline will do.
Jacqueline will do, says Philip. Come along. There we go. Do you fancy that?
No, not
No? Okay. All right. So, what else? So, a trowel, ghost costume, woo-woo. A fish mask, piece of toast. What else was in there? Well, one thing was left in there. It was a nail. Well, so, do we have somebody to... Kath, could you come hold the nail for us, please? Thank you. So I kept thinking, well, here's a strange encounter. I found my old rucksack, and in my old rucksack I found a trowel, a ghost costume, woo-woo. She's getting scarier, she's getting scarier. A fish mask, a piece of mouldy old toast, and a nail. What, I wondered, and what you are probably wondering, is what connects all of these, apart from your vicar's very strange and warped mind? That was not a rhetorical question. What connects all of these things? So let's try them, shall we? Where would we find a trowel? Or where would we use a trowel? In a garden. Ghost woo-woo. What can a ghost do that no other thing can do? Walk through doors. Where will we find fish? In the sea, sort of. Where would we, at what meal would we have toast? And where do we encounter a nail in the gospel stories? At the cross. So there's something here connecting. Now, I used a couple of words earlier when I was talking about finding my rucksack, and I said it was a strange encounter. And all of these things represent a strange encounter. So step forward, Mary Magdalene, who encounters the risen Christ in the garden. Not with a trowel, but there it is. Thank you. Step forward, ghost person, woo-woo. The disciples encounter Jesus, the risen Lord, and they say, actually, is it a ghost? We don't know what's going on here. Thank you. Philip, step forward. Today, you're right there. Today, we encountered the disciples fishing, and whilst they are fishing, Jesus calls to them. Thank you. And what does he do? He makes them breakfast. Thank you. And in all of this, he shows to them the marks that the nails made on his body when he was crucified on the cross. Thank you. So each of these objects, things, represent an encounter with Christ. And one of the great things about that encounter is that Jesus comes to meet people where they are. The other thing we haven't really mentioned is the rucksack. When would we use a rucksack? Out hiking. And Jesus meets two disciples as they hike their way home. In all these strange encounters, Jesus comes to meet his disciples where they are. Mary mourning in the garden. The disciples in their upper room experiencing what they think is a ghost, but isn't. It's the risen Christ. Disciples fishing on the lakeside, being called by Jesus to share breakfast with him. He comes to them where they are, and they encounter him as he is, the risen Lord, risen from the dead, calling them into new life in his love. So these very everyday objects, a trowel, a cloth, piece of cardboard with some fish on it, piece of bread, a nail, tell a story of a Christ who died, a Christ whom God raised from the dead, and who comes to meet us, the ordinary and everyday encounters of our lives. Sometimes we might think those encounters are a bit strange, but when we think about them and how we've encountered Christ in those places, then we need to give thanks that the risen Christ has indeed come very near to us. So, Trell, thank you. A final. Thank you. Thank you, Philip. The fish mask, the toast, which she's not eaten. And the nail. Thank you very much. Can we give a big round of applause to all our helpers?